I feel a bit sorry for these skins, having come out when everybody's so busy with a new game mode and it all being free. But now it's the Danger Zone case's time to shine. Starting with the lowest military spec skins, the M4A4 Magnesium, originally called Roadhog Ghost, is a skin made by EgoDeath. The carbon fibre and grip patterns were made by the man formerly known as AK47, who says these weren't necessary for the design to succeed and that the flames and style are EgoDeath's speciality. The original design was intended to be red and yellow, and this accepted silver variant was actually just this one before the colour had been added to the gradient maps. EgoDeath thought this looked pretty cool, and Valve seemed to agree. EgoDeath would also like to thank Emu, who wasn't part of this case, but who was valuable with this design for telling him the things he didn't want to hear. Zaki was strongly inspired by EgoDeath's art style when he created the wood-fired Nova. He was also inspired from designs taken from real life. He combined all of this together and this skin was the result, which he then polished up to suit CSGO's style. He says he was surprised when this design was picked, as he has made others for the weapon which he believes are better, like the Nova Duck Hunt, which you can see here. The Sword Off Black Sand by MG Baz and Mouse1 is the third skin from the series to be accepted. Black Sand was his first design for CSGO, intended to be a simple, camouflaged military skin with lots of details. He made a dozen new skins for the collection earlier in the year, though more recently has experimented with other styles, like the biome-inspired Ghost Insects and Dual Birds, inspired from Sub-Zero, and he has more planned soon. He says these skins are a lot of work, but the devs have rewarded him today with his addition to the Danger Zone case. He thanks them and the community for supporting his work. The SG553 Danger Close is by Multi-H and DC, who first started working together in late 2016 as their skills complemented each other's nicely. They became good friends and started making skins for Team Fortress 2, Unturned, and, of course, CSGO. They racked up a number of successes and failures together and have had multiple skins accepted across all three games. The Danger Close started life as a weird experiment when they couldn't think of what else to do. They liked the Blaze collection and decided to create their own, dabbling with a melted steel look, giving the weapon a hot appearance along the barrel while being cooler towards the stock. They didn't make these skins in the hope that they'd be accepted, but they've had two featured in the Danger Zone case and they're beyond shocked and can't thank Valve enough. The Glock Oxide Blaze is the third of this series, made by Hollandia, to be accepted. The Glock skin is heavily based on the Deagle from the same collection, being a layer of rust coated with white paint. Hollandia's been busy with work and home renovations, but really wants to get back to making skins again as he misses it. The Tec9 Fubar by the artist formerly known as AK47 was his fourth attempt at the design. He didn't think the original artwork was good enough for official inclusion and set about reworking it several times until he was happy with it. He says he feels lucky that his skins are still being accepted, as he has moved on to other things. He's currently creating what he claims to be the most advanced aim training system for CSGO, which he'll be revealing in the not too distant future. One day, he would like for his 5.7 medic design to be included, because it's still his favourite of the collection. Here's how the original Fubar looked, before his multiple reworks. The MP9 Colony by Nozza is part of the Colony 01 collection, which uses the gunsmith finish to give a bold, metallic appearance. If it looks familiar, then that's because the AK from the collection has already been accepted, and although renamed to Orbit Mark 01, it did at least retain the numbering. This MP9 was designed in three different colours: blue, orange, and yellowish green. Moving on to the restricted grade of skins now. The Galil Signal by Medi was a skin with a purpose. He wanted to find a way of hiding the problematic seaming effect that's inherent with the hydrographic finish. Having seen how the slipstream pattern did such a good job of disguising it, he used areas of smoky black on his design to hide it, with the base pattern comprising of large hexagons with radiating waves moving outward from the centre. He wanted this to be a design that becomes more noticeable the further away you get from it. He originally used yellow-olive colours, but Valve changed this to red-blue, which results in parts with blue hexagons. He thinks this is an improvement over his original colour scheme. He's happy they kept the Signal name though, as he thinks it describes the skin nicely, and he's flattered that they think it looks good enough to be a restricted grade of skin. It turns out that Medi has been following this video series of mine for a while. He says the way Hollandia described the disbelief and adrenaline from hearing his design had been accepted is exactly how it felt for him, too. And he'd like to thank his friends for the inspiration they've given him along the way. The G3SG1 Scavenger by Das and Des is the second of the apocalyptic style to be accepted, the other being the Nova Wild 6. The idea was that garbage was used to build a weapon. The stock for the gun is from a road sign, and the scope is made from a used can, which can easily be replaced, increasing your chances of survival in a war-torn, desolate world. The MAC-10 pipe down is incredible. It looks 3D. When recording this, I genuinely had to check the MAC-10 to make sure there weren't any pipes in the original design. It's all drawn on, using clever perspective to give the illusion of 3D. According to its maker, Deagle, it was not an easy design to work on, and what ended up being its greatest strength was a huge problem for him early on. He was actually annoyed by the rounded pieces on the sides of the weapon, thinking that it would mess up his design, but he found a way of incorporating it into the skin, which you can see in this early sketch here. It was while drawing this that he realised the weapon's stock could also look like pipes. He originally had the frame appear more open, as though you could see right through it, but this didn't look good. So he modelled it in 3D and used an unorthodox technique to project the result onto the 2D textures for the design. He's shocked by how well it worked, and it seems as though everybody who sees it has the same reaction. I even posted it over on Reddit, where it reached the top of global offensive for a while. It seems that he stumbled onto something great with this design. Over on his workshop you can see that he's also experimenting with a bison in the same collection. Maradeur and his girlfriend Chris Art developed the P250 Nevermore. It uses an anodized airbrushed finish and features a mono composition with 5 ravens, choosing not to use different colours and abrupt transitions for the design. The skull, ragged style and the ravens themselves were all inspired by a song called this. The USP-S Flashback by Superior Weapons shares a similar design to the already accepted, also restricted and also suppressed M4A1S skin. It was originally for a collection called the Defacement series, but it looked too similar to the Guardian design, plus he really wanted to do a war-themed skin, so he changed it into how it is today. He wants it to be recognisable as a Vietnam-themed skin, but to still have reference to the game itself. Now the classifieds. The UMP45 Momentum is another design from Multi-H and DC. They wanted to make something motivational. The phrase, "always move forward," was the inspiration, so the arrows all point forwards, and to do so, one needs momentum. Hence the name. Although he has previously had success elsewhere, this UMP and the SG553 from earlier are the first 2 skins they've worked on together for CSGO to be accepted. And for Multi-H, this is his second UMP45 skin to find its way into the official game, with the first being the Labyrinth. Multi-H says that the idea of moving forward has motivated them to continue making skins, regardless of what new CSGO updates may hold. He says another reason for making them is so that they can hear me talk about them in videos such as these. The MP5 Phosphor by SA22 was intended to be a simple, blue-themed skin. He was a bit shocked that this was the design that they chose, especially for such a high grade of skin, as he had another 30 or so designs to choose from, for all kinds of grades and rarities. The chosen design was originally called Industrial Wear MP5 Festival, but he thinks they nailed it by calling it Phosphor, as it was the look he was going for when creating it. The Deagle Mecha by Coyote37 and Hanzo is the third of this design to be accepted. It took several months of planning to come up with a futuristic design that wasn't like an Asiimov, so they came up with a fictional company that, rather than going full sci-fi, instead simply upgrades existing in-game weapons. He's pleased that it's been accepted into the same case as an Asiimov design for once, just so people can see that the mecha isn't that similar to it. The AK47 Asiimov by Caridium needs no introduction. It's an Asiimov, a name chosen by Valve and a tribute to the famous sci-fi writer. This is the 5th design to be accepted, the others being the P90, AWP, M4A4 and P250. Initially planned to be 3 different colour palettes, this distinctive white, black and orange theme has become the clear favourite. The AWP Neo-Noir was a collaboration between Donchi and Blazer. This started as just a way of throwing ideas around, but they have since worked on pretty much every skin together, as having somebody to work with helps prevent you from getting stuck on details. Plus a second opinion is always helpful. This AWP is part of a 3-weapon collection. There is also a USP-S and M4A4 design, but the AWP was always the most important one for them to get right, and was very different to work with than the other weapons. They had to find the right spots to place details so that they wouldn't get lost in the bolts and crevices of the AWP's design. Most of the look was designed during the illustration stage, using Photoshop. Developing a skin in this way lets them get the proportions and positioning of the details right, and it's quick and easy to make adjustments this early on. Despite this, he says this stage can take a long time, as they are very picky about their work. Once happy, they project it onto a 3D gun and finish it up in 3D to add details and stuff onto the other perspectives. The placement of text and icons on the top view can be quite tricky to get just right. Donchi provided me with these exclusive work in progresses. The woman in this design appears calm and patient, as a sniper should be. They went full sci-fi cyberpunk with this design, paying tribute to the likes of Ghost in the Shell, Akira, and Cowboy Bebop. Donchi wanted viewers to interpret whether she's a human, cyborg, or robot of some kind, and thinks a bit of mystery always helps to keep it interesting. They are both very proud of how this design turned out, and think it sits up there as the rightful and timeless crown piece of the collection. The hard work has paid off, and they say it's always crazy to meet fans who use the skins themselves, and to see their skins being used by pros in tournaments. They have plans to expand the collection further. A UMP design is already on the workshop, but they also hope to start some new styles. They say that skin design is a competitive, saturated environment that's full of talent, but they'll continue to work hard. And who knows? Maybe they will find the next big thing.